Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Unquestionably Raw. This is part two in our NBA season preview series for the 2016-2017 season. Today, we are going to talk the Toronto Raptors and give our outlook on the NBA season for them. We have a special guest today, Mr. Collier Holleman. And, of course, we've got DJ Gonzo Star, and we've got Matt joining us in just a few minutes. So jumping right into the Toronto Raptors, Collier, I want to come to you first. So the first question we've got, basically, who do you see kind of starting for the team this year? Who are going to be the key guys off the bench? And if you can, kind of break down some roles for each of the players.
Um, I the way that the team is presently constructed, I see of course Lowry at the point, DeRozan, um, Amari Carroll, and then with the addition of Sullinger, I think he's going to be. And I never can pronounce his name. Valanciunas is probably going to start in the middle for them.
Yeah.
The key to the Raptors, I think, is just in general is going to be Lowry progressing. DeRozan and Lowry have to be all-stars again. They have to be at the top of their game. They have to stay healthy. Carroll has to stay healthy. Health is going to be a key thing with them. I think off the bench, Norman Powell is going to be kind of the X factor. He had a great summer. He kind of came on towards the end of last year. But the Raptors are probably, I'm pegging them about where they were last year. I think I don't see them getting past Cleveland. I mean, if we could just skip to that, all the other stuff is fine and good. But I don't see them beating LeBron James. The way their team is constructed, I just don't. I don't see it. I think they're probably the sec. They may fall back some because Boston has gotten better. They're probably about where they were last year. To be honest with you, they're probably going to tread water. If not, they may take a step back, in my opinion.
Okay. Gonzo, you have anything that you want to add roster-wise for them? Any kind of keys that you see or lack thereof, so to speak?
One thing that showed heavily in the playoffs last year was DeMar DeRozan's and Kyle Lowry's inconsistency. But I think that it's a couple of things I want to mention. I think from looking at the statistics from Jonas Valanciunas last year, when he was healthy in the playoffs, he was a man amongst boys in the Eastern Conference. He actually had a really, really, really good playoff. I want to see him get the ball more down low. I think he's a very difficult matchup. Most of the bigs, especially in the Eastern Conference. He's a great rebounder. He can offensive rebound pretty well. So I like Valanciunas. I want to see him get more touches and more opportunities to score. I'm also going to go with. I've been hearing this guy named Bruno Caboclo. I think his name is. I think he's from Brazil. I've been hearing so much about him. He's like his style of play is on the Kevin Durant side a little bit. I want to see him get more minutes and just kind of see exactly how he plays. Because if he can be half of what Kevin Durant is, that'll be a great acquisition off the bench that can help with the scoring. We all know Corey Joseph and Patrick Patterson do their thing off the bench. DeMar Carroll, I hope that he's healthy this year. He can kind of play more games this year because I think he got hurt either mid-season or early last year. Jared Sullinger was a good pickup, but I don't see him as a factor. Terrence Ross, another guy who's very inconsistent. I was expecting him to be put more in a role where he's able to carry more of a load off the bench. I don't think they're allowing him to do that. I want to see that. They have a lot of guys that are kind of like, I don't know if you call them tweeners. I don't know the proper name for them, but I think that these got a lot of guys who could easily be on the very good side as opposed to being very bad. It's just a matter of how to manage the minutes and how can you get these guys involved in the offense where they're going to get their touches to kind of see what they can do.
Okay. Okay. I think with the Raptors, the key to them. Now, don't forget that even though last season Lowry and DeRozan were very, very inconsistent throughout the season, Lowry especially in the playoffs, they were able to finally top 50 wins. They were able to push the Cavaliers to 6 games, and that roster kind of came together and did gel at the end of towards the end of the season. Although it really didn't stick out in the playoffs, I think that Corey Joseph is actually going to be someone that consistently carries them through as a leader for the team whenever they need someone to run it if Lowry's struggling. Gonzo, you touched on Valanciunas. It seems like a lot of times they get him going, and then they end up going away from him.
Right.
And I don't get it. It's like he dominates in the post. They use him 4 or 5 times, and then boom, he's not even there. It's like he's not even there. And DeMar DeRozan's shot selection has always been a question mark for me. He can't shoot from 3. So they brought in Norman Powell. They brought in, or they had Terrence Ross, who ends up, he did have a 50-point game. That basically 50 points, and then nobody heard from him after that. But he's not consistent, like you mentioned. Another big loss, and I think the biggest loss for him, in my opinion, is Bismack Biyombo. They don't have somebody that can rebound, that can rim protect, because Valanciunas is not able to rim protect. Their draft pick, Jakob Poeltl, is not able to rim protect. And basically Stollinger is an undersized power forward. He's like 6'7", 6'8". So he's not providing you with much rim protection. And then Patrick Patterson's come into a 3-point shooter, and his defense leaves a lot to be desired. I think that the Eastern Conference did get better. So I think that, Collier, like you mentioned, Toronto will end up kind of in that second tier, second to third, spot there. But Boston's going to be a team to look at. Detroit's a team to look at. There's a bunch of teams that you can look at. Even Chicago on paper right now, you can look at and say, their roster's pretty solid. I don't know that they get to second or third, but they can, on paper, look pretty decent. So with that, basically, does Toronto win their division? In you guys' opinion, Gonzo, what do you think?
I really don't know. Like you said, it's a lot of different. The Knicks have just gotten better. Indiana's gotten better, but just the Knicks alone have gotten better. I think Philadelphia won't be as bad as they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
Boston has gotten a lot better. Honestly, I don't think they win the division. I'm going to be honest. I think the Knicks will win the Atlantic.
Oh wow, you think the Knicks are gonna outdo Boston and the Raptors?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It'll probably be New York, Boston, Toronto, and then
Okay.
it'll probably be Brooklyn and then Philadelphia.
Okay. What do you think, Collier? You think that Toronto is definitely going to win the division, or?
No. I think they take a step back. I think Boston wins that division, and the Knicks will be a lot better. I think Rose is going to be better this year, on a new team if he, stays healthy. With their additions, the Knicks are going to be much better. But I think Boston. I like Brad Stevens. I think Brad Stevens is a good coach. And it's talking about coaching, which you had kind of some of the stuff with Valanciunas. You kind of scratch your head. Dwayne Casey. I'm still, the jury's still out on Dwayne Casey to me as a top tier NBA coach. I don't call him a bad coach, but I think he leaves something to be desired with just some of his moves and the way he handles some of the players. But I think Toronto's going to slide back unless we're missing something here. Somebody just has a huge year. I think the Knicks and Boston are probably going to jump ahead of them.
Okay. I definitely think, in my opinion, with Boston, I think that they're going to end up taking the Atlantic Division. I think that although the Knicks got better, I think as far as they go, it's going to all depend on health. And I see them, finishing third in the division, in my opinion. But, anything can happen as far as, injuries go. So it's really too early to tell. But with Dwayne Casey, I think basically they were going to fire him 2 seasons ago. And I think he overachieved last season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Kyle Lowry, he lost all that weight, last offseason, came in, did really well. He faded away once teams realized, you can't ISO and bully your way to the hole anymore. DeRozan can't shoot, consistently. So if we lock you down, Kyle Lowry, then we can focus on DeRozan and, have him try to pull up from mid-range, and he's hit or miss. So what other options do you have if DeMarre Carroll's, hurt? We got to throw it to Valanciunas. Well, it started working. And then all of a sudden, Dwayne Casey's like, oh, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Let's go back to the perimeter. And I really think it cost them against Cleveland because I think they could have shocked the world if they had consistently ran the offense through Valanciunas the whole time. They decided once he went down with injury, they looked at, well, Bismack Biyombo's playing phenomenal. We need to play him. Not knowing that Bismack Biyombo played in Charlotte, did nothing on offense.
Right.
Is undersized at center at 6'8", 6'9", and yes, he was an inspirational story, but he's not going to get you, consistent, points down low. Yes, he can get you rebounds, but who's going to score if Lowry and DeRozan are struggling? So I think the whole team concept for the Raptors needs to change for them to be able to take that upper echelon leap, and DeRozan has to work on that three-point shot. If he can nail a three-point shot consistently, he's going to be a sleeper to be, top 5 shooting guard. Right now, I don't put him in my top 5 shooting guards. But with Toronto, they're going to be interesting, like I said, because a lot of pieces, Jared Solinger is going to have to fit in as a starter. They lose Luis Scola. They lose Bismack Biyombo. So question marks definitely there for them. In you guys' opinion, what are 3 keys to the Raptors season that will either make or break them? It could be anything from coaching the players to the system, whatever you think. It could be 3 things that you think, are positive for the team that could help them succeed, or 3 things that, will be their downfall. What do you think, Gonzo? I'm going to go to you first.
I think one thing is DeMarre Carroll's health. That's one of the main things. DeMarre Carroll and Valanciunas' health. I'm going to use that as just one together. Number 2, get Valanciunas more involved. Absolutely. The guy was, like I said, he was a man amongst boys in the Eastern Conference. Actually, when he was healthy, he actually played really, really, really well. I want to see him get the ball more in the post. Also, too, I want to, and I got a 3 and a 4. The third,
Okay.
I want to see Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan's shot selections much better. I think they take a lot of silly shots and they play very sloppy, especially in second halves. Like they can play really, really good in the second half. I mean, the first half and the second half, it's almost like they don't even realize that this game is actually on the line. Like it's almost like it's almost like their mentality is they shut down in the second half. I want to see those guys be more consistent throughout the game. And fourth, and this just to add, just actually that the role players can be more effective and get more minutes. You know what I'm saying, and have their roles more defined. and coaching as well. I want the coaching to be better. So that's just number 4 together.
Okay. What do you think, Collier?
I completely agree with what he just said. It has to be, especially DeRozan. He takes terrible shots. He really does. And um, the help has to be there. DeMarre Carroll has to have a huge year for them. Valanciunas just continue to get better. He needs to get the ball. I don't really believe in Toronto, to be honest with you. I just don't. I don't. My big thing, I think, is with Lowry and DeRozan. I don't know if they're stars, to be completely honest with you. They're the best players on your team. I don't know. I think you have an okay team. You have a championship team. They're pretty much caught in what I call basketball hell. They're good enough to, get past the first round, maybe of the playoffs, and do a little something. But they're not going to. They're not going to compete for a title or anything or anytime soon. So I think after this year, I think Lowry's contract, he has a contract option or something coming up. I think they're going to have some questions that have to be answered. Does Corey Joseph, they may keep him, he may be the starter. They may have to get rid of Lowry. I think they need a star power forward. Sullinger's not the answer. Sullinger's just he's a role player. He's not at this point of his career, he's not a star, I don't think. I don't think they just have enough good players, to be honest with you, to do anything more than not to, when we talk about winning titles, that's it. They'll probably win 50 games. They might win 45, 50 games, but I don't see them pushing Cleveland. Even that 6 games last year, I think that was I don't think Cleveland was really that worried about Toronto beating them, to be completely honest. But we'll see. We'll see. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, so.
Okay. I think the main thing I think we all touched on it is Valanciunas being a bigger part of the offense. He should, in my opinion, be that second option. I still think because they paid that money to DeRozan that he has to step in and be that go-to guy. He has to prove he can be consistent. Consistency from the bench, either Ross or Powell has to step up and overtake DeMarre Carroll as a starter, because I don't think DeMarre Carroll coming back from injury, he was able to be the DeMarre Carroll he was in Atlanta, that defender, basically 3-and-D guy. I really think this is a make-or-break year for Terrence Ross. I think if he doesn't step it up by the trade deadline, he'll be gone. Norman Powell has to stick in the rotation and be consistent. Corey Joseph basically, is getting a lot of minutes actually at both point guard and shooting guard, and that should be. I think that he is, in my opinion, their most heady guard as far as a point guard goes. I really don't look at Lowry as a point guard mindset, in my opinion. I think with Corey Joseph coming out of the Spurs system, he had that discipline playing under Greg Popovich and under Tony Parker's tutelage, and I think that really helps him be able to run that team. And during the playoffs, we saw what he could do consistently night after night, and then again in the Olympics this past summer in Rio. And then lastly, my point is going to be the power forward spot. They have to upgrade that at some point this season. You cannot go in the season with Jaron Sullinger and his weight issues, his inconsistent play, and then on the other side of that, you have Patrick Patterson, who does not rebound. He likes to shoot threes on the perimeter. Where's your guy like Luis Scola that can play that power forward spot, rebound, do the dirty work? You don't have it anymore. So the rim protection, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be the biggest key. How are they going to stop teams? They just don't have that defensive front line that they had, previously, and I really think that's going to hurt them this season. Um, Now, a little bit of injury news that I wanted to touch on is DeLon Wright not being able to play. This last season, when he had minutes, he showed flashes of what he could do, but he wasn't, it wasn't enough to say, oh man, he's going to be able to take Corey Joseph's spot. But he showed some key flashes. He's hurt for the first couple weeks of the season. That gives Fred VanVleet basically the chance to make the team as the 15th guy. So, Collier, I want to go to you real quick. Just touch on Fred and his game and what you think he might be able to bring to the team if he makes it.
Fred is a fantastic point guard. He's a true point. He's heady. He's smart. He's all the adjectives. He's the quarterback. He's a winner. He won at every level. He's undersized, and that's the knock on him. If Fred is 6'4", he's a lottery pick. But he's won a lot. They didn't win a lot of basketball games at Wichita on accident. Fred was the guy there. They have some other good players. Ron Baker's a good player. I don't know if he's going to make the Knicks or not, but Fred, I think if he makes the team, Fred's the kind of guy, he gets on there, they're going to like him, and he's going to grow on because he's that his basketball IQ. He makes all the right plays. He won't turn the ball over. I could see him. I mean, in the future, I could see. Let's say if Lowry ends up walking or whatever, and Joseph becomes the point guard, I could see Fred being, a solid backup, for them, in the coming years. But DeLon Wright, he'll be back because, I think he's going to feel a little pressure, probably from Fred. And DeLon Wright has a nice game on him. I from what I've seen of him, he plays out of control at times, though. I don't know if he has great point guard instincts though. He's more of a scoring point. I liken him to more of a scorer, but he's a good player. But Fred is just he's phenomenal. He's a great kid. It's a great story. I mean, I'm sure his story's been told, with the family and, his dad in the younger years and all of that. But Fred's just great family, great guy. He's a better, person than he is a basketball player. So I wish him well, and I wish him all the luck. I really do, because it's a great story for Rockford, because we don't have a lot of great stories coming out of here. But Fred is one of them. He really is. So I hope he does make that team.
Okay. Last question that I want to go to before we wrap up the show is I want each of you guys to give me one bold prediction you have for the team this season. A bold prediction. So Gonzo, what do you have as your bold prediction?
My bold prediction will be that the Toronto Raptors will be a 6 seed and under in the Eastern Conference.
Ooh, okay, 6 seed or under, okay. Collier, what do you have as far as a bold prediction?
I don't know how bold it is. I think they make the playoffs and they get beat in the first round.
Okay.
Yeah. Or I tell you what, maybe I have one. I think they try to make some kind of blockbuster trade, midway through the season, or sometime during the season they pull off maybe a blockbuster trade.
That's kind of where I was going to go with mine. I think a trade midseason would happen. I don't necessarily think it'll be DeRozan. I could see Lowry getting moved.
Lowry, yeah.
because they do have that security blanket of having Corey Joseph, basically, a Canadian there, would have the fan support. And to me, that's my bold prediction that they move Lowry at some point before that trade deadline if things don't start out well, which I don't foresee them, starting out greatly based on other teams improving, not only in the division but the Eastern Conference as a whole. So that will wrap up this show for the Toronto Raptors, and I just want to thank both of you guys for being on with us, and I want to let everybody know out there that we are going to have a couple preview shows this week. Tuesday evening, which is tomorrow, we're having our Milwaukee Bucks NBA season preview. So we got Dakota Schmidt of Ridiculous Upside coming on. Wednesday night, we've got the Charlotte Hornets preview show. We've got Justin Thomas of ESPN. We had to reschedule that from last Friday, but we are good to go for Wednesday. And then Friday, we're actually going to have the Indiana Pacers season preview show. So everybody check that out. And then most of all, go to our iTunes page underneath podcasts. It's Unquestionably Raw. You can download each of these shows within 24 hours of it airing here on YouTube. So check us out, Unquestionably Raw, and we will see you tomorrow evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the Milwaukee Bucks NBA season preview show.